Yeah. So roll up summary field, always we are going to create on parent object side. Okay. And you should have a master data relationship. Then only we can create a roll up summary field. Whereas formula field, we can create on the object, any object. But the thing is, if you would like to refer same record data, then we simply say it is a formula field. Okay. Now coming to the cross object formula field. Cross object formula field. So here you can simply identify cross object formula in the sense one object data we are using in another object. So here we can easily guess what is cross object. Cross object in the sense, so other object data we are using in another object. For example, if I would like to know student information, school information in my student record. Okay, so then I am going to use this cross object formula field. Similar way, if I would like to refer, so account information in contact. Similar way, parent object information in child object. So whatever the parent object data, if I would like to refer in child object, then simply we can call as cross object formula. Cross object formula. So sometimes we need to display parent object information in our child object. Parent object information in our child object. So if you would like to display those kind of parent information in child object, so we are going to use this cross object formula field. This cross object formula field. It's not it's not like as an hypothetical implementation. So similar way, yesterday how we have created a formula field, similar way we are going to create this cross object formula field. So but only the thing is we are referring parent field values here. So now I would like to display school information like a school phone number in our student object. So for that, what I can do, I am going to create a cross object formula field here. So simply new, and then I am going to create a formula field here. So within this formula, what I can do, I am going to specify the formula is basically school phone number. School phone number I want display in our child object side. So phone number is basically number, but it's a phone number, right? So we are going to consider as a text. So written type as text, and then clicking on next. So here, what we can say, I'm going to display school phone number, right? So here, school phone number we are displaying in student side. So that's why I need to refer the corresponding school field here. So we are having a school object is there. So we have an arrow symbol is there. So with the help of this one, you can get the school fields here. So we have a school and then a school arrow symbol. So two options is there. If you refer school, then what it is going to give, it's simply giving the corresponding record value, the corresponding record ID. But if you go with the second option, school, so then you will get all the school fields here. So if I need school phone number, simply whatever the field do you want to display, you can select it like this. So then automatically what happened, right? School information we can display in our child object. So similar way, these fields you can use in formula as well. So some based on parent object, parent data, do you want to update any logic? You can use these cross object fields in our formula as well. Okay. So now if I would like to implement some complex formula, so I would like to implement some complex formula. So for example, I would like to give fee discount based on the school city. So if school city is Hyderabad, then I would like to give like some type of discount. If school city is in Bangalore, I would like to give some type of discount. If school city is Chennai, I would like to give some sort of discount. Okay, so if I would like to give such type of discount based on the parent data, I'm going to decide what type of value, value I need to give. So here, right, at the time, what I can do, I need to verify entire field, and then I need to simply refer school corresponding city name. School city name I am going to refer in our formula. So if you would like to refer parent fields in our child object, so those kind of formula we called as cross object formula. So in the case of if you are referring same record data, then we are going to call it as a formula field. If you would like to refer parent object data in your child object, in your child record, then you can simply consider as cross object formula. So now I am going to display only the corresponding phone number. I am validating check syntax. So check syntax is without any errors. So then after I am simply clicking on next and then adding to the profiles. Then after I am going to save it like this. So once I am done, then automatically formula created. I am going to refer our record. So we are able to display the corresponding phone number properly or not. School phone number by default we are getting here. So we haven't populated anything, we haven't typed anything. So after the field, by default, this corresponding phone number displaying here. Okay. So this kind of information we simply called as a cross object formula. Okay. So now we can go through remaining things as well. So like here, I would like to implement a few more formulas here, few more functions here. Formula and then click on next. So some sample formula here. Text. So just want to discuss about the functions in functions we are going to use in these formulas. Okay. So here we have a different category of functions. So date and time, logical, and then math functions, test, and then advanced functions. So if you select all function categories, then we can consider all these things. Okay. But the thing is, in the case of these advanced are like a test or math, if you select any one of these category, then by default the corresponding functions is available. So here, if I would like to verify whether the field is blank or not, sometimes we are going to refer these kind of logic. So if any of the field is blank, then I'm going to populate some value. If the field is not blank, then I'm going to populate some another value. So do you want to check those kind of functions? Then you can verify this one. Is blank of. If I'm using is blank of, and then whatever the field name you have specified. For example, I would like to verify the corresponding other number is populating or not. The corresponding other number is populating or not. Simply you can verify is blank of other. Then automatically what happened, right? If other having some data, it is going to give the false value. If other is not having any data, then it is going to display like a true value. So is blank of other in the sense, so based on the data you have populated or not within the field, it is going to give the true or false value. So similar way, we have multiple functions, and operator. Yesterday we discussed, and then blank value. Do you want to check blank? We can use this one. So case, and then if both are having a similar type of functionality. So in the case of case, what we are going to do, so similar way, like if the case we are going to represent it like this. Case we are going to represent it like this. So based on the input, it is going to execute the corresponding statements. So if the value is if the value, so for example like grade, I'm going to use a grade option. So grade is A, then it is going to execute some sort of statements. Yes, some sort of statements. Similar way, it is going to, like, if it is a grade is B, it is going to execute some sort of statements. So similar way, in the case of grade is C, it is going to execute some sort of statements. So if you would like to implement such kind of implementation, then you can go with the case. case and then if both are having a similar type of implementation. So depending upon like your usage, you can go with either case or if. So it won't give much difference if you go with the case or like if. So based on our usage, you can go with any one of these option. So is blank and then is null. So do you want to verify like the corresponding data, So whether your field having data or not, based on these functions, it can identify. So no need to implement any custom logic. By default, it is going to display. So then after is number, do you want to verify whether the data you have entered is a number or not? At the time you can use the corresponding function. If I'm using a is number, so if I'm using is number in the sense whatever the date, whatever the field you have specified, within that field, if you enter text value, it is going to give the false. If you enter a number, then it is going to give the true value. Okay. So depending upon data what you have entered in the text field, do you want to verify whether it is a number or not? You can use is number function. And then not operator, yesterday we have discussed. And then null value. So do you want to verify null? Then you can use this one, and then or operator. So these functions we called as logical functions. These functions we called as logical functions. So we need to go through at least these logical functions. Why? In the sense we are going to use these logical functions in our future requirements. So then after we are having a date and time. So if I would like to add certain months, okay, so whatever the data we are having for the date, do you want to add certain months? Then simply you can use these add months. So here what you need to do, so whatever the date field we are having, and then how many months do you want to add, then you can specify this one. Automatically what happened, right? It is going to add the corresponding months to the existing date, and then it is going to give the new date value. For example, I would like to add 3 months to the current date. Then simply if you specify like 3 here, right? After 3 months, whatever the like date is there, so it is going to calculate and then display the corresponding value here. So similar way, do you want to build some date for data? So generally you have in a year, month, and then they separated. Did you get in a value separately? Do you want to format date? Then you can use these date function. So here what you need to, you need to provide year value separate, month value separate, and then day value separate. So if you give like year, month, and then day value, then automatically it is going to return the corresponding date format. So do you want to build date and time value? Simply you can use this operator. So do you want to go with the only date value, any of the expression? Then you can use date function. So I would like to know day from the today. I would like to get the day from the today. So today is 16, right? So I would like to get only corresponding day. So then you can use this function. So similarly, day of year. So day of year, if you would like to get it, then you can use a day of year. So that means we have a 365 days, right? So whatever the like day of the year, we will get it here. If I open today, then I can get 16. So if I open like after 1 month, then based on the day, we will get the corresponding number. So we have in 365 days. So based on the day, we will get the corresponding value here. So similar way, we have in a multiple functions here within these date functions. So do you want to get like a year or like a weekday? So so for example, sometimes we are going to consider only weekdays. Only weekdays. We cannot consider weekends. So do you want to verify whether that is a weekdays or like a weekend? With the help of this function, we can get it, like whether it is a weekday or not. So similar way, today, and then like we are having now, if I'm using now, then it is going to give the uh, exact time. So today along with the time. So now my time is like 9:35 p.m. So whatever the seconds also, we will get it here. If I'm using now in the sense, it is going to return the along date and then time with seconds. If I'm using today, so it is going to return only date. Only date. Today in the sense date, and now in the sense date along with the time. Date along with the time. So these kind of options available in date and then time operator. So just go through all the functions here. So why we are saying in the sense, so these functions, we are not sure when we are going to use it. So we should know at least like what are the functions available. We may be used or may not be used. Just go through the functions. So then after math functions, so we are having cos values and then sine values, tan values. Then after exponential values, 2 square, 3 square. Do you want to implement such kind of formulas? You can use these math functions. We have a math functions. For example, I would like to use a 10 square or like a 5 square or like a 5 exponential 3. So these kind of values, do you want to implement? You can go with you can go with these math functions. So similar way, we are having like text functions. So these text function is if I would like to verify like whether any character is available within the string or not. So for example, I would like to verify I have a character like this, some sample text. So within the sample text, I want to verify whether S is there or not, or like a T is there or not, or X is there or not. So do you want to verify like that? Then you can go with these text functions. And then we are having contains, so hyperlink. So then after like, do you want display image? Do you want to display image, or like do you want to display length? So how many characters is there? Do you want to verify number of characters within your string? So then after like pick list value, or do you want to display in a reverse order? So do you want to display like right side values? So all the functions are available. So depending upon our requirement, so these functions we can use it. So do you want display in lower characters? Do you want display in upper characters? So whatever the like requirement we have, based on the requirement, we can use these text. And then so these are the main functions we are using: date and time, logical. So logical is most important compared to like remaining all. So logical is most important compared to like remaining all. So here math. So math rarely we are going to use, but majority of the time we are going to use logical and then text functions. Logical and then text functions. Okay. So just go through logical and then text functions after this class. And then do you have any questions? You can let me know. So if you consider like all the examples, right? We need to implement many things. So if you go with all the functions, then we need to implement many formulas. So it may be like taking so much of time. That's why I'm just giving high level of this one. But from your end, just go through each and every function. If you select any of the function, right, associate information available here. Okay, if you click on help on this function, you will get plenty of examples. So whatever the implementation, if you're using is blank, so what you will get it, everything you can get it with the help of help on this function. Okay, so now what we can do, I'm going to like specify one of the requirement, one common requirement. So the requirement is basically I need to display ultimate parent. So we have a common requirement. So it is going to cover some of the topics. So ultimate parent. Okay. So you need to implement this function. You can try it. I'm going to give some level explanation. So then after you need to implement it. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about these ultimate parent functionality. Okay. So just listen carefully this requirement and then try to implement this one on your own. So if you have any questions, I will explain it tomorrow. Okay, but from your end, you need to implement this requirement. So what is this ultimate parent? What is this ultimate parent? For example, I have an account record. For this account record, we are having a self lookup. We have a self lookup. So A for A1, parent is A2. For A1, parent is A2. For A2, parent is A3. For A3, parent is A4. Okay. So, and then for A4, parent is A5. So we have a self lookup. We have self lookup on our account object. So I am navigating to the account object here. If you open any one of the record, we have a parent account. Parent account field is there. I'm going to open the second record. If I go with the details, so we have a parent account is option is there. So parent account option is there. If I select this one, right, then automatically what happened? The corresponding value we need to populate here. So here it is going to look up to the same account object, same account object. But my requirement here is I need to display ultimate parent. So if I am populating test VF, so then automatically what happened for United Oil and Gas. So for this record, account VF test batch. So it is a parent record. It is a parent record. If I open this one, if I open this record, yes, not it. I am populating value. So now I am navigating to these account VF the corresponding record. For this one, I am populating another account record as a parent. So here, for this one, parent record is account VF. I am going to checking these account VF. So here, parent is null. But for this record also, I'm going to populate some parent. So I'm going to populate the parent is a test batch, and then simply saving this one. Bookings last year, where is this field? So now for this one, like I have created as another parent. So now I'm navigating to these test batch. For this one, no parent record. So now if you observe here, right, for United Oil, so parent account is account VF test 2. For this account VF test 2, we have a parent account is account VF. For the account VF, we have parent is test batch. We have a test batch. So now it is linking like this. First is United Oil. So for this one, parent is basically we have an account VF test 2. Account VF test 2. So then after, like for this one, parent is a account VF. So for this account VF, we have a parent is a like a test batch. Test batch. So here total we have like 1, 2, 4 records is there. So it is aligned one by one. Sometimes we are going to parent it like this. In the case of some requirements, the requirements is basically like a self lookup. So at the situation, we are going to parent it like this. We have in a multiple chairs like this. So my requirement here is ultimate parent I need to display. So what is this ultimate parent in the sense? So whatever the topmost value I need to display on our record. For example, if I open United Oil record, at the time, whatever the ultimate parent, the corresponding name I need to display. The corresponding name I need to display. So here for this one, United Oil and then Oil Corporation, for this one, ultimate parent is a test batch. So how you are going to identify ultimate parent in sense? No other parent. So for the test batch in this chain, for the test batch, there is no parent. There is no parent. So in maybe, for example, if I go with, if I consider these two records, if I consider only these two records, then what is the ultimate parent for this one in the sense? So test batch only. Why? Because for their parent, there is no parent. So in this chain, if you go with like the corresponding chaining process, if top level record should not have any parent record, top level record should not have any parent record. If I consider these two, ultimate parent is test batch only. Why? Because so for account VF test 2, we have a parent. So if I navigate into the account VF, again we are having a parent, but test batch we don't have any parent. So now we need to traverse. We need to traverse how many like level we have a parent. So if there is no parent, then we can simply consider it is a ultimate parent. Then it is a ultimate parent. So now if I go with for United, what is the ultimate parent? So we can simply say test batch. We can simply say test batch. For account VF test, account VF test 2, what is ultimate parent? What is ultimate parent? So test batch. So in the case of account VF, what is ultimate parent? Test batch. So similar way, if I go with the test batch, what is ultimate parent in the sense? So in the case of this one, there is no parent. So simply we can consider so test batch only. So now we need to implement a formula. The formula is if I open the corresponding record, then you should display ultimate parent name. You should display ultimate parent name. So here for United Oil and Gas Corporation, for this one, ultimate parent is a test batch. For account VF test 2, ultimate parent is test batch. For account VF, ultimate parent is test batch. So in the case of test batch, ultimate parent is test batch. So we need to implement such kind of formula. Okay, it is a common requirement. So if you joined any of the company, so for sure you will get these kind of requirements. So these kind of requirements, you need to display ultimate values, ultimate parent or like ultimate data you need to display. So in this scenario, how we are going to identify whether it is ultimate or not? So you need to verify there is no other link. There is no other link from that record. From this test batch, there is no other link. So up to here, we have a linkage is there, but after this test batch, there is no link. So in this scenario, we can consider it is a test. This test batch is a ultimate parent. Okay. So first of all, is it clear to everyone? Like what is ultimate parent?
Yes.
Yes, it's clear.
So I'm asking about requirement only. I'm not asking like entire thing. So is this like clear? What is ultimate parent?
Yes, sir.
Anyone having any questions about this one? About requirement? No questions? So now I'm going to consider this one. So A5. And then I have like a account record A6. For A6, we are having a A7. For A7, we have a A5. Okay. We have a data like this. So I have like records, account records, total 7 records is there. 7 records aligned in this format. So now I need to like verify. So ultimate parent. I need to verify ultimate parent. So what's the ultimate parent of A3? What is the ultimate parent of A3?
A5.
A5.
Okay. So then what is the ultimate parent of A6?
A5.
A5. A5.
Okay. So in the case of like A1,
A5.
A5. So like a similar way, we need to like verify ultimate parent for all the records. If you open any of the record, right, by default, we need to display ultimate parent name. So it's not a complex scenario. If you implement for one level, right, automatically it will help to implement remaining levels as well. So the basic step, the first step, you need to verify. So if you implement in first step, right, then automatically it is going to like implement for next levels. Okay, so then it's a very simple and then straightforward implementation. Straightforward implementation. With the help of our text functions, we can implement this requirement. We have like a text functions is there, right? With the help of text functions, we can implement this requirement. So now I'm going to verify whether ultimate parent is there or not, and then I'm going to display the corresponding value. So whatever the like if conditions earlier we are using, simply I'm going to use the corresponding value here. So here I'm going to verify is blank. I'm going to use is blank of. I'm going to specify the corresponding parent ID. The corresponding parent ID. So we have a field called parent account. Parent account is there. So if I'm like trying to implement a formula field on account object, then you will get it. I'm going to like implement up to one level. So then after you can implement in remaining levels. So I'm like trying to verify the corresponding field here. So it is a help to you can refer why we are like discussing this one sense. Here we are going to refer multiple level. So that's why I'm using this option. So simply I'm going to use ultimate parent, ultimate account. So final output, we are going to get the text value, the account name only. So that's why I'm going to get the text value. Simply I'm verifying like this. So here what I'm going to do, I need to use the if condition. So within the if, I'm going to verify whether parent ID is empty or not. For that, what we need to use, I'm going to use is blank. Within the is blank, I'm like trying to verify the corresponding parent ID. So here we have a parent ID field is there, parent account ID. I am simply using this one. If parent account ID is null, that means that is our parent value. So that is our ultimate name. So simply whatever the name of this account, I'm going to display here. I'm going to display here. So if it is blank in the sense no parent. So at that time, what we can do, we are going to display name here. So otherwise, I need to verify next level. So otherwise, I need to verify next level. So now the thing is, in the case of A5, for the A5, what is ultimate parent? For A5, what is ultimate parent?
A5.
So A5. So how you are going to like justify whether A5 is ultimate parent or not? How you are going to justify whether A5 is a ultimate parent for A5?
If it has no other parents,
So
It doesn't have a parent account.
so in this A5 record, parent ID is empty. So if it is empty, then we can consider that is a ultimate parent. So that's why what I'm doing here is simply I'm verifying parent ID. So in this, if it is blank in the sense no value populated in our account record, then simply I'm going to specify same name itself. If it is not blank, that means it is having some parent. If it is having some parent, then again what I'm going to do, I'm going to verify the corresponding function like this. So here is blank of, again I'm going to use is blank of parent ID. So simply I'm going to specify the corresponding parent account. So parent account, and then from this parent account, I'm going to like specify parent ID, parent account ID. If I have specified like this, right, then automatically what happened? One level we are verifying. So one level we are verifying. So one level in the sense, for example, if I open account record, if I open account A4 record, for the A4, what is ultimate parent? A5. So in the case of A4 record, I am validating parent ID. So here parent is not blank. So that's why what it is going to do, it is going to verify parent dot parent in the sense A5. So parent dot parent ID. So I'm going to validate parent ID in the sense parent in the sense A5. So I'm validating A5 parent ID. So for this A5 parent ID is null, right? So that's why what I am going to do, I am going to simply display the corresponding parent account name here. So for that, what I am going to do, I am going to specify if it is true, then what I'm going to do, parent account name here. Parent account name here. So in the case of if this condition is also not satisfied, so in the case of if it is a three level parents or like 4-level parents, at the time what I can do, I am going to implement a similar kind of chaining process. Then you can like reach maximum level. So we have like some character limit. Character limit. You can simply implement it like this. We can simply go one by one, like a parent ID, parent ID. So parent ID. So like that, you can go multiple levels. But we have some character limit. So within this formula, so up to certain level you can reach. So from your end, what you need to do, you need to build this formula. At least up to 6 to 7 levels. So for example, if I'm having an data like this, A1 and then A2, so then after A3 and then A4, so then after A5 and then A6, so then after A7. So up to 7 levels. If I open any of the record, then ultimate parent that should display as A7. Okay. So you need to implement formula field like this. Okay.
Is it possible, to write a loop in the formula field, like instead of writing multiple levels, writing a loop will be.
So we don't have any loop option. Okay.
Okay.
We need to implement multiple levels only. We don't have any loop option here. So here we should go with only like if condition wise only. If true and then false. So like that you need to verify. So based on that you need to implement the logic. Okay. So the basic requirement is like this. You can like go with the parent like that. So that you will
Shrikant, just a small doubt. Like if it is like for 5 or 6 parents, we are able to do, but if it is like for more number of parents, how can we implement the ultimate parent? Like we can't type in like all the.
So we have an alternate approach is there, some batch effects and like some customization with the help of that we can do it. But at this moment, within this formula, you can go with up to 5,000 characters. You can't write more than 5,000 characters. So that's why you can write maximum, I think 6 to 7 levels only. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So is it clear for everyone? So it's an exercise for you, like you need to implement as an assignment, but everyone should complete this one. Already we have like implemented half of the functionality. So remaining thing, you need to implement it. Okay. So we are done with the formula and then cross-subject formula, roll-up summary. So we should know like where we need to implement a roll-up summary. We should know about where we are implementing a formula. We should know where we are implementing a cross-object formula. Okay. So generally we are getting confused. So we are all learners, right? So at this moment, we are getting confused. So where we are going to use roll-up summary and all those things. Roll-up summary. For the roll-up summary, you need to use the basic thing is master data relationship is required. Always you are going to implement in a parent object. Formula, same record data do you want to refer? You need to use formula field. If you would like to use other object data within your formula, then you need to specify it is a cross object formula. So parent object information you are going to use in your child object. So these kind of functions we called as cross object formula. Okay. So now moving to the next topic. So validation rules. Okay. So validation in the sense, so now when I'm trying to modify our account record, I'm getting some exceptions. The exceptions is basically So year started is a mandatory. So year started is a mandatory. Then after last year revenue is mandatory. So these kind of exceptions I'm getting. So now my requirement is I would like to implement some kind of errors based on some condition. Based on some condition, I need to implement some kind of errors. So there is a basically, if you're like trying to skip skip any of the value, you should throw in an exception. Or maybe if you wrongly populated any of the value, then you need to throw in an exception. Okay, so these kind of exceptions you need to implement it. For example, like I would like to give discount for the air conditioners up to 5%. In the case of product type is air conditioner, I would like to give maximum discount is 5% only. Okay, you can give up to 5%, but you cannot give more than 5%. In the case of TVs, I can go up to like 7%. So I should not give more than 7%. In the case of washing machine, so I need to give maximum discount as 10%. You cannot give more than 10%. So now when someone trying to give discount more than 10%, then you should throw in an error message. So maybe like salespersons, they are trying to give more than 10% discount for the washing machine, then you should throw in an error message. In the case of TVs, if any of the salesperson trying to give discount more than 7%, then you should throw an error. So if you would like to throw such kind of errors, so how you are going to achieve, in the sense, with the help of validation rules, you will achieve these requirements. Okay, so validation in the sense, it is going to validate our data, what you have entered. If any mistake is there, it will throw in an error. Validation in the sense, simply it is evaluating our data, what you have entered within the form, and then so it will verify whether is there any mistake in the data. So then automatically it will throw an error. So these kind of implementation we called as validation rules. So validation rules, with the help of validation rules, we can throw in a required error. So required in the sense, for sometimes some conditionally I need like a display. I need like a mandate few of the fields. For example, in our student object, in the case of record type is India, then Aadhaar number is mandatory. Record type is India, then Aadhaar number is mandatory. So if you would like to throw such kind of errors, then we can simply go with these validation rules. In the case of country is USA, then SSN number is mandatory. So at the time, what we can do, we can use validation rule. With the help of validation rule, we can throw an error. Okay, so these kind of errors we can implement with the help of validation rules. Okay, so now I'm going to implement some small requirement. So my requirement here is in our account object. We are having a type customer direct. So based on these type, I'm going to mandate one of the field. So here, so far we haven't worked anything about these pick list options. So how we are going to use these pick list options, we can implement with the help of type. So in the case of type is prospect, then I'm going to mandate some of the value email. So in the case of type is prospect, then email is mandatory. So in the case of remaining options, email is optional. Only if type is prospect. Then email should be entered by customer. Whoever creating this record, whoever modifying this record, for them, if they choose type as prospect, then they should enter email. So if they have selected other type, then email is optional. Okay. So first of all, try to understand the requirement. My requirement here is type is a prospect, then email is mandatory. If type is some another option apart from this prospect, then email is optional. Then email is optional. So now I am going to implement the corresponding requirement. So if you would like to go with this validation rule, so validation rule, similar way how you have created page layouts, record types, and then fields, similar way for each and every object, validation rules also there. For each and every object, validation rules also there. Maybe it is in our bottom side, validation rules. So we can implement these validation rules. By default, it is empty. So if you have any of the validation rule, you can like display here. If you don't have any validation rule, you can create a new validation rules. No issues. So the thing is, within these validation rule, right? Whatever the requirement, similar way we have implemented formula, right? So these formula, you can use in formula fields. You can use in cross object formula fields. You can use in validation rules. You can use in workflow. You can use in process builder. You can use in flows. Okay, so these many places you can use these formula. If you learn formula, so this same formula you can use in multiple features. Okay, in Salesforce, we are having many other features. So if you go here, right, we have a workflow, process builder, approval process, then after like assignment rules, so flows, we have in multiple concepts. Within all these concepts, you can use formulas. Same formulas you are going to represent in all these places. So that's why you should know something about formulas. So now within these validation rule also, we are going to validate with the help of formula fields only. So these validation rule, right, we need to make it opposite. So how you are going to verify whether the type is prospect or not? If it is prospect, then email is mandatory. If it is not prospect, then email is optional. So for that, I am trying to implement one of the validation tool here. So the validation, when we click on new, then it is asking three things. One is a validation rule name. So I am going to populate email mandate based on type. So here we have a description is there. So it is an optional field. Do you want to specify anything about this formula, this validation rule? You can enter here. So the most important thing here is you need to enable active checkbox. If it is active, then only validation rule will fire. So if you unselect the checkbox, then validation rule will never execute. So that's why when you are creating any of the validation rule, you need to enable the checkbox. If you enable, then only validation rule will execute. Otherwise, it won't execute. So then after, we are having the corresponding formula here. So whatever the formula earlier we have used, similar type of all the functions is there, and then field is there, operator is there. But the thing is, so this formula, it is going to return only true or false value. It is going to return true or false value only. If it is true, then it will throw an error message. If it is false, then it is trying to save the data. Okay, simple thing. In formula fields, what we are getting different types of data like numbers, percentage, text, date, time, checkbox, all these things. Whereas formula in validation rule, it is going to give only true values. Like one is a true and another one is a false. So here the formula is basically we need to implement such a way like it is going to give the either true value or false value. So our requirement is if type is prospect, I need to verify email is empty or not. For that, what I'm going to do, simple thing. So here we have a condition one. The condition one is basically type is prospect or not. I need to validate type equal to prospect. Okay. And then next condition is email is empty or not. Email is empty or not. Is blank of email. Okay. So if these two conditions satisfied, then it is going to give the true value or false value. So if type is prospect and email is blank, then we need to display error message. If type is not prospect, in that situation, no need to verify email, then we need to save the data. So here I need to use AND operator or OR operator here. So simple thing, I need to use AND operator or OR operator here. I need to combine these entire condition in a single condition. So finally, I need to get true or false value.
And
I need to use AND operator or OR operator here.
and operator.
AND operator.
What we need to use it here? AND operator or OR operator?
And operator.
So why we need to go with AND operator? Why can't we go with OR operator here?
We need to verify both.
Because both the options should be correct. So the type should be prospect and the email should like be blank. That's why.
Yeah. So here we need to go with the AND operator. So why in the sense? So two conditions are true, then only you should give true value. Otherwise, you should give false value. So that's why I am going to use AND operator here. So now, so here what I'm going to do, simply I'm going to specify AND of type equal to prospect, and then same condition I'm going to specify here. So then automatically it is going to give the true value or false value. If it is true, then it will throw an error. If it is false, then it won't throw any error. Simply it allow to save the record. Okay. So same formula, I'm going to use it in our validation rule. So I'm going to use AND operator. So within this AND, what I can say, I'm going to verify the corresponding is blank of email field. So for that, I am going to use is blank option, is blank of email field. We have email. I'm going to specify this one. Then after, I need to use the corresponding type. So here we have some different implementation is there for the pick list options. So remaining text fields we can use as it is, but in the case of pick list field, we need to verify in different way. So here, right, if I would like to use pick list value, so then what you need to do, we need to use is pick value function. Is pick value function. So this is pick value function. I need to specify here. So the corresponding pick list field name, our field is type. I am going to specify like this. And then whatever the text letter do you want to verify, I need to specify the corresponding option here. Okay, so this is the way we need to use is a pick list option. In the case of remaining text fields, we can simply go with the corresponding type equal to prospect like that. Type equal to prospect like that. Text fields, we can simply go equal symbol. Do you want to verify whether that field having prospect or like a different text? You can simply go with that option. But only the difference for this pick list field is, if you would like to verify pick list field data, then you need to use is pick val. Is pick val. Do you want to verify pick list field data? Then you should follow corresponding approach like this. Is pick val of the corresponding pick list field name, and then whatever the data do you want to verify, you can simply go with like this. Okay, so we have another approach is also there. Another approach is basically you need to specify like a text of the corresponding field name equal to, you can use the corresponding prospect also like this. Okay, so prospect also like this. So do you want to use pick list fields? Pick list field having some special category. So we need to follow any like a eSpeak value option or text option. So in the case of like other text fields, do you want to verify name? Name you can simply verify like this. So name equal to some Shrikant like this. You can simply verify like this. Only this special treatment only for pick list options. Only for pick list fields. For remaining fields, remaining text fields, you can directly write like this. Oh, in the case of like pick list fields only, you need to use either eSpeak val or text val. Okay. That's why I have specified the corresponding option here. I'm going to like verify. So before going to that, I would like to verify the corresponding pick list option API name. So our field is type. So don't blindly go with name that is displaying in our UI. So here the name is a prospect. So sometimes, right, backend it may be having some different value. So if you see here, right, we have values and then API name. So do you want to compare pick list data? You need to always use API name only. You need to use always API name only. So here I am going to use this prospect. So sometimes, right, whatever the value displaying in the UI and then API name is different. So in the case of if you are using pick list value for comparison, always you need to refer API name only. So sometimes this value is different and then API name is different. Maybe in UI you got the value name. So if you got the value name and then you are going to refer in the validation rule, it won't execute. Why? Because for sometimes the value is different and then API name is different. Always we need to refer API name only. API name only. So that's why if you would like to use any of the pick list value, so simply open the corresponding field and then just get that corresponding API name. So now I am simply getting the prospect and then the corresponding value. I am going to like paste it here. Then after check syntax. If any error is there, it will throw an error. It will throw an error. Simply no errors found. Then after I am going to use error message. I am going to use error message. So error message is for the prospect type. For prospect accounts, email is mandatory. Email is mandatory. Simply I'm enter the corresponding error message like this. So these error message, where do you want to display? So where do you want to display? You can select here error location. So here the thing is top of the page. Top of the page in the sense whenever I am trying to save the data. So here we have a save option is there. When we click on the save, at the time, if the condition is not satisfied, we will get error message here. Where you have save button. So between the save button, you will get an error message. So here we have two options is there. Error location. Where do you want to display error message? If I'm using top of the page where you have save button, so beside the save button, you will get an error message. If I'm using field, so where do you want to display the corresponding error message? So here I would like to display error message at email place. So then simply you can use the corresponding field value here. So when I click on save, then automatically the corresponding validation rule will save. And then after when we try to save the data, we will get a corresponding exception. So now I have created one of the validation rule. Now I am going to verify the corresponding logic here. I am trying to save the data. Like type is prospect and the email is empty. Then simply I am like trying to save the data. So here what happened? We are getting error. The error at email field. If I navigate to the email field, right? So here we got an error message. Whatever the error message we have specified in our validation rule, the corresponding error message we are getting here. For prospect account, email is mandate. Email is mandate. So these kind of error message we are getting here. So if I use error location is a top of the page, error location is the top of the page, then we'll see where we are getting an error. So now I'm going to change the corresponding error location. So top of the page, and then saving our validation rule. So once I'm done, then again I'm trying to save this data. So at this moment, what happened? The corresponding error message we are getting within our save button. Earlier, it is displaying in email field. So now we are getting here. So generally, in the case of field specific error messages, so if you miss something, if any error is related to specific field, you need to go with like a specified location. In the case of if it is generic error message, you can go with top of your page. Okay. So any specific field basis, you need to always go with the field name. In the case of if it is generic error message, then you can go with top of the page. So for this requirement, it is associated with one of the email field, right? That's why I'm going to use the corresponding option. So field value, and then for which field do you want to throw an error? You can simply go like this, and then save. So now, next time when we're trying to save the data, then we will get the error message like this. So we are getting an error in the error at email. So if you navigate to the email, you will get the corresponding error message. I am going to populate the corresponding email, and then trying to save the data. Now the record got saved. So these errors, we will get it when we try to create a new record or when we try to modify existing records. So when this validation rule will fail, someone may be asking you this question. So when this validation rule will fail, whenever we are creating the record or when we try to modify existing record, So for example, I have created a validation rule today. But the thing is, few of the old records, already we have some account records. For those records, the type is prospect, but email is empty. So for those records, right, if we won't get any issue. But when we try to modify those records, at the time, we will get an exception. So for the old records, we won't get any exception. But when we try to modify the existing old records, at the time, we will get an exception. So if someone asking you about a validation rule, then you need to specify this one. So when we try to create the data, when we try to modify the data, then we will get an exception. This validation rule will fail when we create the record or when we modify the data. Okay. Any doubt so far about this requirement? Any questions? So it's clear? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, any question?
Oh, that's clear.
Yeah. So someone may be like asking you this question, why we need to use the validation rule? So at the time, what do you need to say? So we need to validate data. So whether user entering data properly or not. If you give the this form to some salesperson, they may be like fill whatever they want. Okay. So generally, in the case of like any survey, right? In the case of any survey, if you're like trying to fill the survey, then what you are going to do? Is there any mandatory fields? You are going to finish it. Otherwise, you can skip, everything is blank. So majority of the people, what they are going to do, if they are asking you to like fill some survey, so majority of the people, what they are going to do, so whatever the mandatory fields, they can populate those values. For remaining fields, they can simply skip. Okay, but if it is required, so then only they are going to populate the values. Similar way, in the case of these salespersons or some people, right, they are going to skip some values. So for few of the details, it is a mandatory for them for that. So we need to implement these validation rules. Sometimes we are going to enter email field. In the case of like email field, sometimes we are going to enter in different format. So we are not using a email format. We are using some different format, some text format. Okay, some ABC 1, 2, 3 like that. So if it is not in email format, then we should throw an error. Okay, if it is not in email format, then we should throw an error. So similar way, sometimes we are going to enter 4. So they simply enter value like 1, 2, 3 and then trying to save. But our phone number should have some minimum length. Okay, 10 digits. So in the case of if it is not 10 digits and it is not in phone format, then we should throw an error. So these kind of errors we can achieve with the help of validation rules. If email is not in email format, our phone number should not follow phone pattern, should not follow the phone number of digits. So then we should throw an error. So these kind of requirements we can use these validation rules. Okay, so validation sense it's evaluating user entering data, and then if any mistake is there within the data, it will throw an error. So if everything is good, it allow us to save the record. Okay, simple and then straightforward. So go for break, and then after that we are going to discuss some complex validation rules. Okay. So here, what we are going to do, we are like simply trying to like implement logic for air conditioner. So here, what happened? So we are using a R operator. With the help of like a R operator, I am like trying to verify all these conditions. Sorry, here also I need to use a AND. Here also I need to use a AND. So then after, I'm going to like implement the same logic. Here also I'm going to use AND operator. So then after, if it is a price above 50,000, no need to verify second condition. Then we can give maximum discount as a 7% only. 7% only. So like this we can write. So for all these things, right, I'm going to use one more R condition here. So why I am using one more R condition sensor? So it may be satisfied any one of the criteria. It never satisfy all the criteria. So for example, if your price, if you're not using R here, right, then automatically what happened? Then automatically it will throw an error message if you give any value. Okay. So why I am using an R operator in the sensor? So here, right, if I'm giving a 25,000, so it is going to validate in a next condition as well. If I'm giving 20,000, it is going to validate in a next condition as well. So that's why I'm going to use like R operator. If any one of the condition is satisfied, then the final output it is going to consider. So now I'm like simply validating one of this small example. I'm like simply evaluating one small example. So I'm like trying to enter details like air conditioner with the price is 35,000, and then I'm trying to give discount as 6%. Okay, so I'm trying to save the data. Product name is air conditioner, and then the price is 35,000, and I'm trying to give the 6% discount. So as per our validation rule, you should throw an error or not. If I'm like trying to enter data like this, as per our validation rule, whatever the formula we have implemented, so you should throw an error or not.
It should throw an error.
Yeah, I should.
So the price range is 35,000. So it fall under this category. And then we are trying to give discount as a 6%. So it is also like true. That's why you should throw an error. So now I'm like trying to verify individual conditions. So in the case of first condition, it is giving the true value. So I'm going to like implement the AND of. So first condition, air condition is satisfied. So it will give the true value. That is fine. And then I'm going to use R operator. So here I'm using an R operator. Okay. So within this R, what we are doing, again, I'm using and of. So I'm like trying to validate the data. So here 35,000 greater than 20,000. So it is true or false. 35,000 greater than 20,000. It is true or false.
True.
So 35,000 less than 30,000 or not.
False.
False. 6% is greater than 3 or not.
True.
So this is the one it is going to verify. So next, what it can do, it is going to verify second if condition. Second if condition. So what it is going to return? It is going to return values like this. So is it greater than 35,000? First, it is satisfying the criteria. And for the second one, it is giving the like 35,000 less than 50,000. So at this moment also, it is giving the true value. And then, so what happened here? 6% is greater than 5. What it is going to return?
True.
So true. And then we are getting values like this. Then after and of, again, I am like getting, so 35,000 greater than 50,000 or not.
False.
So false. So and then discount, like that is also false statement. So simply we are getting value like this. So now I'm going to like re-modify like these condition. If true, comma, R of. So in this first condition, what is output?
False.
So we are getting false. In this second condition, what is output?
True.
So third
False.
condition, what is output?
True.
False.
Sorry, false.
Okay. So now and of, I am getting true, comma. So if I'm using like this, what is our output?
True.
So and of true, comma true. Then finally, what is our output?
True.
So if it is true, that means it will throw an error message. It will throw an error message. Okay. So now I am trying to evaluating the same record with 5% discount. So if I am going to enter data like this, as per our validation rule, you should throw an error message or not.
Yes.
You should throw an error message or you should not throw.
Should
If
throw
I'm
an
giving
error.
It
5%,
should not. False.
you should not throw an error message. Why? Because if it is greater than 5%, then only we should throw an error. So now I'm like trying to enter the details. So in the case of first condition, so it is going to give the true, false, and then true only. In the case of second condition, true, true, and then 5 greater than 5. What is output for that? 5 greater than 5. What is output for that?
False.
False.
So it is going to give the false statement. So and then remaining one as it is. So in the case of and, so here what is the outputs we are getting? First condition we are getting false, and then second condition what we are getting here.
False.
So second condition we are getting false. Third condition as it is. So now in this situation, what is the output here? True, comma R of all false. What we are getting here?
False.
So in the case of if I'm using false, then what is final output here?
False.
So then what happened? It won't throw any error. Data will be saved. Data will be saved. So like this, we can evaluate the corresponding validation rule like this. Okay. So similar way, now I am going to like implement the logic for remaining products. I'm going to implement logic for remaining products. So and of, so I'm going to like copy paste exactly same thing. So exactly same thing. I'm going to simply copy paste the requirement like this. So that's what I'm saying. If you implement for like for one condition, so same logic you can copy paste it. So if you see here, right, irrespective of the complexity of your requirement, irrespective of the complexity of your requirement. If you satisfied one condition, if you build one condition, if you put some efforts to build one condition, so remaining thing, you just need to copy paste. You just need to copy paste. If you see here, right, what we have implemented? We have implemented initially one small condition. One small condition. With the help of this one, what happened? We have built entire logic. Entire logic. So if you have like a 10 products or 20 products, irrespective of the number, you can like simply copy paste it. Now what you need to change the corresponding product name, and you need to adjust the corresponding number. So in the case of like TV, we have some different percentage. Refrigerator, we have some different percentage. Washing machine, we have some different percentage. But our ultimate goal is we need to validate the discount percentage. So if you implement for one requirement, right, for remaining thing, we can simply copy paste it. So now we have implemented like for the washing machine, and then so I'm using some air conditioner like some TV. Okay, here I'm going to use some WM. So rather than like writing so air conditioner, washing machine, and then TV. So we have implemented logic like this. So now we have three different products. Condition 1 for the air conditioner. So condition 2 for like washing machine. Condition 3 for TV. So we have three different conditions. So now we need to combine these entire condition into single condition. Why? Because validation rule always expecting single condition only. Okay. So that means you should give only true or false. So that's why I need to like combine all these conditions in a single condition. So if I would like to combine all these conditions, right? How can I combine it? Any idea? I need to combine these three conditions as a single condition. So how can I combine it?
Or operator.
Only R operator? Or I need to use any if conditions?
You can use it for case also.
We can use if for case as well. So any other suggestions here? How can I combine it here?
The first part we can put one condition, right? All the products in the if condition.
Okay. If you are using if condition, then what will happen, right? It is going to give true and false statements. Okay. So it will implement, it will give it different end results. So here we cannot go with the if condition. So is there any other thing we can use it?
A case.
Can we use formula field for one field and we can use directly the condition?
Yeah, we can use that one as well. Okay, formula field also we can use it. But so I don't want to implement formula field. So I don't want to like create new field here. Okay, whatever the logic, I would like to use it within the validation itself. So as you mentioned, formula field we can use it, but I don't want to create a formula field. I would like to implement the entire logic in our validation itself.
I think we can use end operator in between those two formulas.
Okay.
Or less operator.
I think we can give the product name as like AC, virtual machine, and sorry, washing machine and TV.
Hmm?
Can we assign like that?
Go. We can't go.
Can we use it, pick list like is pick value?
Okay, so here, so if you would like to combine multiple conditions, very simple thing, we need to identify the end result. So here, I am trying to use 3 different products. So here, each and everything, it is going to give the true value or false value. So here, we need to go with the R operator. With the help of like R operator, I can implement the entire logic here. So why I am going to use R operator in the sense? So here we have 3 different products, and each and every product having individual like a price range and then discount here. So that's why I need to use R operator here. If I'm using AND operator, right? So what it will happen? Any one of the condition is satisfied. Then automatically it will throw an error message. So that's why. So here I need to go with R operator. So this R operator means if air conditioner condition is satisfied, then it will throw an error message. If washing machine condition is satisfied, then it will throw an error message. If TV condition is satisfied, then it will throw an error message. So otherwise, what happened, right? It will like if I'm using AND operator, then it won't throw any error message for all the conditions. So that's why here I'm going to combine these entire formula into one single condition with the help of R operator. Okay. So in validation rules, whatever the conditions do you want to specify, no need to like use if conditions and all those things. In the case of any complex logic is there, you can go with if conditions and all those things. But generally, you can achieve with the help of these and R operators only, you can achieve entire requirement. So I'm going to write this entire logic inside R operator, then automatically our requirement is satisfied. Okay. So if you want, you can like just evaluate how I have evaluated earlier. So whatever the prices we are giving, so similar way, you can also evaluate. You can like consider one of the condition and then simply verify what is the value with the true and what is the value of the first condition, what is the value of second condition, what is the value of third condition. Simply go with that. Okay. So and then you will get the corresponding answer. Okay. So try to implement this one from your end as well. So if you have any questions, right, let me know about this one as well. Okay, these 2 things. So today I gave 2 requirements. One requirement is ultimate parent, and then second assignment is this discount percentage. So yesterday you have created a formula field, delete that formula field, and then try to enter discount as a manual field. So then after you should throw an error message. Okay. So first of all, requirement is clear for everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So now within the same requirement, we have one more requirement is there. So within the same requirement, we need to like elaborate a few more things here. So now in the case of this error condition is fine. So we have implemented error condition up to here, everything is good. So now my question here is I need to display error message. So generally So this formula is everything is good and then working as expected, no issues with the formula. So my next issue here is a error message. What we need to display within our error message. So if I have combined, so these three product values as a single validation rule. So then what we can display in our error message? You can suggest me what type of error message I am display here.
Discount cannot be exceeded.
So any other message? So in the case,
Discount ex-
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So what kind of error message we need to display here?
discount exceeds the price range, so we can just say like reduce the discount.
Okay.
Give a discount value. Okay.
Okay. Any other suggestion here? Any other suggestion here? So as you mentioned, if I'm giving like a error message, so discount percentage should not exceed. Discount percentage should not exceed. Okay. So if I have implemented this error message, okay. So maybe like one new salesperson joined in our organization. They are trying to give the discount. So we have here we have specified only like 3 products, right? But in general, we have like around 15 products or 20 products is there. 15 products or 20 products is there. So at the time, we are giving a range. Then you should train. If you're giving a generic error message, discount percentage should not exceed. That means salesperson should aware. In the case of air conditioner, what is the maximum percentage? In the case of washing machine, what is the maximum percentage? In the case of TV, what is the maximum percentage? They should know each and everything of these rules. Then only they can enter properly. So otherwise, if you're displaying generic error message, right, then what happened? So they may be not aware. So they can keep on trying the values. Like, so initially they give 5%. If it is throwing an error, so they can try with 4. And then again, we are getting an error. They maybe try with 3. Okay. So they are going to keep on trying like that. So if they are like keep on trying like that, it is like a wasting customer's time as well as a salesperson's time. So that's why rather than displaying a generic error message, I would like to display the corresponding error message like this. So for TV, so price, so 20,000 to like 30,000. So we can offer some 3% discount. In the case of like 30,000 to so 50,000, we can offer 5%. So and then above 50,000, we can offer so 7%. So if you are displaying some small error message like this, then a salesperson easily understand so what they need to enter here. But the thing is, we have 12 or 13 or 15 products is there. We have 50 products is there. If you're like trying to keep on adding, if you like keep on adding these error message, then they need to go through each and everything. They need to go through, they need to identify where the product is there within the error message. Then after, they need to identify the price range. Sorry, they need to identify the price range. So it's like again wasting of salesperson's time. Again wasting of salesperson's time. So now these kind of situation, right? What we need to do? We need to divide these validation rule into three different validation rules. Three different validation rules. Why we are going to divide in the sense error message we can display only one. Error message we can display only one. We don't have any conditional error message. We don't have any conditional error message. So if you're like trying to enter these error message, right? Error message, right? What happened? We are getting like only one error message here. We don't have any option. We don't have any option to like to hide these error message. So in the case of like conditional rendering, so conditional rendering is available, then we can use the corresponding conditions. But the thing is, here we don't have any conditional rendering, so we should go with only one error message. So that's why if you have such kind of requirements, then what you need to do, you need to simply split the corresponding requirement into multiple validation rules. Then after, try to write individual validation rule. So why we need to go with individual validation rule in the sense? So here, so these error message, we need to display individual error message for individual product, so that we need to like go with the corresponding the corresponding individual validation rules. But the thing is, I'm having same requirement, but the thing is, so we have common discount for all the products. We have common discount for all the products. So in the case of 20 to 30, so discount is like a 3%. So 30 to 50, discount is 5. And then so beyond 50, we can give maximum discount as 7 for all the products. So if you have all the products, then whatever the products within the same category, you can combine into single condition, and then you can use generic error message. But the thing is, if you have an individual limits, then you need to go with the corresponding individual validation rules and then individual error messages. So within these validation rule, right? What is the main things we need to remember? One is a rule name, and then the corresponding active checkbox. So if it is active or not, so then after we need to verify the corresponding error condition. So these error condition is basically formula. It should give like a true or false values only. If it is true, it will throw an error. If it is false, it won't throw any error. It will allow us to save the data. So, and then error message, what is our error message we need to display? This you need to specify. Then after, where do you want to display? Where do you want to display the corresponding error message here? Okay, so top of the page or maybe field. So field in the sense, for which field do you want to like display the error message? You need to select it here. Okay. So these things we need to remember. So sometimes, right, we are getting a validation error. So someone asking us to deactivate the validation rule. So then what we need to do? We need to go to the appropriate validation rule, and then we need to unselect the active checkbox. Then after, I am going to save the validation rule. If I'm saving the validation rule, right, then automatically what happened? So it is simply deactivated. It won't fire again. So now I am trying to create the account record, or I'm trying to modify the account record. It won't throw any error. Even type is prospect and email is empty. It won't throw any error. Okay. So like this, we can deactivate our validation rule. Sometimes we may be like, we have a requirement like we need to deactivate the corresponding validation rule. So at the time, we can simply unselect this one. Okay. So you may be getting one more requirement. You may be getting one more requirement for system admin profile. For system admin profile, you should not throw an error message. For system admin profile, you should not throw an error message. For other users, you should throw an error message. Okay, so you may be getting a requirement like this. So whoever having system admin profile, you should not throw an error message. For remaining people, you should throw an error message. Even in the case of system admin, right? Even if it is email is blank and type is prospect, it should allow them to save the record. For other profile user, you should not allow them to save the data at that time. So how we are going to implement? It is one of the common question you will get in interviews. You will get in interviews. It is one of the common question. So how you are going to bypass validation rules to the specific profile or specific user? So now we are trying to bypass validation rules to the specific profile, system admin. So similar way, we are trying to bypass validation rules to the specific user. So how we are going to achieve this requirement? So for that, what we can do within the error message, we are going to implement in two ways. Within this error condition. What I am going to add? I am going to add one extra condition. So insert field. So here we have an option called user. So user in the sense logged in user who is trying to create the record, who is trying to modify that record. The corresponding user information, it is automatically fetched. So now I am trying to verify the corresponding profile here. So profile ID. So we need to get the system admin profile ID, and then so profile ID equal to so and so. Then automatically you should not throw an error message. So here I am going to use not of user profile dot profile ID like this. Then automatically what happened? For other profile users, it will throw an error message. And in the case of system admin profile, so automatically what happened? So if I'm login as system admin, then automatically what happened? It is going to give the true value. If it is giving the true value as per the not operator behavior, to automatically make it false. So in the case of false, then as per the unoperator behavior, it is going to give the false. Then it allow us to save the data. So here, if I logged in as a system admin, if I'm if my profile is a system admin, so then it is going to get this user in the sense current user. It is applicable to all the users, whoever log in, the corresponding profile, it is automatically fetch it. It will fetch it. So no need to verify individual thing. These $user in the sense, the logged in user details. So if you are using ID here, right? So for example, our system admin profile ID. So I would like to go with the system admin profile, and then I would like to get it the corresponding ID here. So I'm navigating to the profiles. So we have a system admin profile. I'm navigating to the system admin profile, and then I'm trying to get the corresponding ID here. So these ID I'm going to use in our validation rule. So if you specify like this, then automatically what happened? So if your profile ID matching this one, then it won't throw any error. If it is not matching, then it will throw an error. But we have one constraint here. So generally validation rule are any implementation in which we need to implement. Anyone having any idea? In our first class we discussed. So whatever the validation rules are, whatever the functionalities we need to implement, where we are going to implement. So which are we are going to implement?
Sandbox.
Exactly same. Yeah. Sandbox, we are going to implement requirements. And then, so we need to move it to the QA, then after UAT, and then production. So generally what we feel, so we have hard coded in the sense, whatever the value of record ID, directly I am populating within the validation group. Okay. For the system admin, so these profile ID is in sandbox is different, and QA is different, UAT is different, and production is different. Generally what we feel, we have implemented validation rule, so it is working fine in sandbox, so we can deploy to the QA. So QA also, it will work properly without any issues. But the thing is, so these profile ID that will change in QA sandbox. Then what you need to, after you deploy to the QA, you need to get the profile ID of the system admin, and you need to edit a validation rule. Then you need to place it the corresponding system admin profile ID here. So similar way, after you have deployed in a UAT, you need to modify validation rule. You need to get the actual profile ID and you need to update here. So similar way, in the case of production also, after you deployed the corresponding validation rule, you need to get the profile ID of system admin and that you need to replace it here. Okay. So this is the way you need to do it. So I don't want like do it these many times. So I would like to make it one generic bypass validation. So in that scenario, we have an alternate approach is there. But it is one of the common, like one of the like approach we are using, but it is not recommended. Why? Because each and every deployment, you need to update the validation rule. So now I would like to bypass it for the system admin. So in future, I would like to bypass it to the some sales user. So, and then I would like to bypass it to the some service user. Okay. So I may be like changing my requirement. So at that time, how you are going to like, how we are going to like modify, how we are going to like effectively implement the logic. Rather than updating these validation rule, I need to like use one of the condition. The condition should be same in QA, UAT, production without modifying anything in this validation. Okay. So why I am using this one? So if I'm using an hardcode values, you need to change it each and every time. So if you like forget to change this one, or by mistaken, if you like remove any comma or like anything, then automatically what happened? Entire functionality will break. So that's why what you need to do, you need to like implement a functionality that should not replaceable, that should not modifying the corresponding error condition. So how you are going to implement the logic, that we are going to discuss it now. Okay, but you need to know, so the necessity of bypassing validation rules. So for specific users, we have a special permissions. For them, we need to bypass. Okay, so these are the common requirements you will get in our when you join any of the company. It is very common requirements. Okay, so now if you have a requirement like this, then how we are going to follow these things? Just listen carefully. So in our interviews, for sure you will get this question. Okay, so how we are going to bypass validation rules? Or how we are going to bypass automation tools? We are going to discuss about automation tools, but same procedure we are going to use for automation tools or like validation tools. Okay, so now I am like trying to implement a bypass functionality for this validation rule for the specific profile or specific user. So for that, what I'm going to do, we have a concept called custom setting. So listen carefully. No one teaching about like these bypassing functionalities, but I'm like trying to explain to you. So how we are going to implement these custom settings and all those things. So these custom settings. So for these custom settings, how you need to navigate? Simply go to the setup and home, quick find type custom settings, and then click on new here. When we click on new, so the label is what I'm going to enter. So you can enter like account bypass or like contact bypass. For which object do you want to bypass? You can specify the corresponding bypass. So I'm like trying to enter. So bypass validation rule. Bypass validation rule. So I have specified like this, and then so remaining thing you need to keep it as it is. Then after I'm going to save the custom setting. I'm going to save the custom setting. So here I need to enter the corresponding value here. I'm going to save the custom setting here. The object name already in use. Okay. I have created custom setting with the name as validation rule, bypass validation rule 33. So created like this. So then after, what do you need to do? So if I would like to bypass, so simply I'm going to create one of the field here. The field type is a checkbox. I'm going to create one of the custom field. The field type is a checkbox here. Simply I'm going to enable so bypass validation. Simply I'm giving a checkbox like this, and then I'm going to click on next. So here we don't have any profiles and other things. It's simply custom setting data. So with the help of this one, I have created one of the custom field here. So now I am going to create records. I am going to create records within this bypass validation rule custom setting. So it's not a custom object, it's a custom setting. It's a custom setting. I am simply creating manage, and then I am going to create one record here. The record is basically so profile. So do you want to like bypass for the profile, or do you want to bypass for the user? You can select here. So I would like to bypass it for system admin. Simply I am selecting this one, and then I am going to specify the corresponding profile name here. The corresponding profile name here. So system admin. For the system admin, I need to bypass this one. Simply I am enabling checkbox. Simply I am enabling checkbox. Then automatically what happened? So these custom setting, if the profile is a system admin, then automatically it will bypass. So now I need to use this bypass validation rule custom setting in our validation rule. So now I am trying to modify our validation rule accordingly. So here what I am going to do, I am like trying to use these bypass validation rule. So here we have a setup bypass validation 33, the custom setting what we have created by default that is available in our formulas. I am going to specify this one, and then I am trying to use the corresponding checkbox. So if it is enabled, then automatically it won't it is allowing us to save the data. So that's why I'm like trying to use a not operator. So automatically if the checkbox is enabled, so automatically it will bypass the corresponding error. So otherwise it will throw an error. So if you have implemented like this, right, then automatically what happened? So if you deploy to the QA or if you deploy to the UAT, it won't throw like any error. No need to modify your error condition, validation error condition. Okay. Otherwise, what they need to do, they need to like open error condition, and then so they need to modify so the corresponding hard-coded value. So sometimes they may be like doing some mistakes, so it may be like causing an issues. So that's why rather than doing like hard-coded values, we are like make it dynamic. We are simply make it dynamic. So if you implement it like this, right, then automatically in the case of system admin, it won't throw any error. So now I would like to bypass it to the some another profile as well. So then what you need to do? So in the case of like a previous requirement, previous implementation, right? What you need to do? You need to use R operator, and you need to verify second profile ID as well. Second profile ID as well. But if you implement it like this, then automatically what happened, right? So rather than modifying error condition, what you need to create one more record here. So the profile is I would like to bypass for the other profile. The profile is a standard platform user, or for batch 33 profile. For batch 33 profile, I would like to bypass. Then simply what you can do, you can create a record like this. You can create a record like this. Then automatically what happened? It will bypass. It will bypass the corresponding validation tool for these two profile users. And I would like to enable it to the some user as well. I would like to bypass to the some user as well. So I am going to select the user. Then after I can choose the for which user do you want to bypass. I am selecting the corresponding user and then selecting it like this. So here what happened? We are not updating any error condition. We are not modifying logic. So do you want to bypass part to the profile or do you want to bypass to the user? You are simply creating the records. You are simply creating the records. So these kind of solution they are expecting. This kind of solution they are expecting. So it's always configurable. So they no need to change to the logic here. So otherwise what they need to do, they need to go and then update these corresponding logic. If I would like to bypass it to the 5 profiles, then I need to use R operator, and I need to get the corresponding 5 profile IDs that I need to place in validation loop. Okay, if I would like to bypass it to the 5 profiles and then 2 users, then what you need to do, you need to modify your error condition like that. In future, if you would like to change it, then again you need to modify the error condition. So when you are keep on modifying the error condition, generally we are getting issues. So that's why rather than modifying, we have some good approach, good alternative solution for this requirement is custom setting. So these custom settings, generally what you can do, you can simply create records. You can simply create records. That's it. So do you want to remove bypass functionality for batch 33? Then what you can do, you can simply delete the corresponding record in this custom setting. Then automatically what happened? It will bypass only to the system admin profile as well as the corresponding user. The corresponding user. Okay. So this is the way we can implement a bypass validation tool functionality for our validations. Somewhere we have missed something. Here I missed comma. That's why we got an exception. So now no errors. I'm trying to save this one. So what happened? Simply we have implemented logic like this. So set up bypass validation rule and then the corresponding checkbox. So it is automatically verify whether your profile is system admin or not, and the corresponding checkbox is enabled or not. So automatically these functionality will verify. So no need to implement any logic. So automatically it will fetch and then verify. Okay. So if someone asking how you are going to bypass validation rule, then simply what you can say, with the help of custom setting, we can bypass the corresponding functionalities. It is clear, or anyone having any questions?
Yes.
Remaining people.
Hello, sir. I have one
Yeah.
small doubt. Can we use custom settings inside the Apex?
Yeah, we can use.
Like how we can use
So,
I had some.
Yeah, so we are going to discuss about Apex classes at the time we can use. I will explain. Okay.
Okay.
So it's whatever the current topic, right? Ask questions related to current topic. So we are going to discuss Apex classes at the time I will explain.
Shrikant, one doubt, if you have a triggers, all right, we can use the same thing. Like if you want to,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we can use for bypass, we can use these custom settings. Okay, for triggers or whatever it is, we can use bypass these custom settings. But as I mentioned, right? So we are going to discuss the bypass functionality when we are discussing trigger concept.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the answer is we can use. Any other questions about this one?
No, I am good.
Other people?
Yeah, it's clear.
So I have a small question. What is custom setting?
Like it is called, it is like a metadata that which stores the actual data, and it's like metadata.
Okay. If someone asking the difference between custom setting and then custom object, custom setting and then custom object, what we can say? So in custom settings also we are creating fields and creating records. In custom objects also we can create fields and then we can create the records. Then what's the difference between custom setting and custom objects?
For custom setting, we don't need to query and get the record value, but for custom object, we have to query for a record and get the value. Here we are using directly the setup and use the custom settings value, right?
Yeah, that's a valid answer. Any other difference?
Custom setting stores only one, or like one value, whereas custom object stores various values.
So how many records we have stored here?
2.
Then it's wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think there will be no parent-child relationship in the custom settings.
Yes, that is also valid answer. No parent-child relationship. No relation fields and no formula fields. So as she mentioned, the first thing is in the case of custom setting, no need to query the data. So by default, you will get it. So in the case of custom object side, if you would like to fetch custom object data, then you need to use query functionalities. But in custom settings, no need to use query functionalities. And the next thing is, in the case of custom settings, we are going to store static data. We are going to store static data. That is operational. That is an operational data. So we are not storing customer data. So customer data are like any transactional data. We are always storing operational. So here get the difference. Operational data is different and then transaction data is different. So operation data in the sense, if you would like to, if you would like to modify any condition or any logic based on these records, so these kind of records, these kind of data we called as operational data. Okay, so transactional data in the sense, so for our business, I am creating address record. That is a transaction data. For our business, I am creating an account record. I am creating contact record. I am creating student record. So these all are transactional data. These all are transactional data. So custom settings we are using to create operational data. So operational data in the sense, based on these data, it is like impacting some another logic. So here what happened with the help of custom setting, I am like implementing bypass functionality. Okay, but in the case of like our records, right, you cannot use in validation rules. Our custom object records you cannot use in validation rules. Okay, that is purely transactional data. Okay, you can say these difference. And the next difference, as someone mentioned, so here relational fields you cannot create it. Relational fields you cannot create it. Okay, so these three differences you can specify to the your interviewer. If someone asking like about what is the difference between custom setting and then custom metadata, then you can get the corresponding answer. Okay. Is it clear? Anyone having any questions? Okay.
Srikanth, we can, cross object formula, as you mentioned that we'll be getting the values from the parent parent object, right? So like if
Yes.
you want to get values from the other object like opportunity, when we are working on the school object, but I want some other object details, like for example I want some opportunity details, then I can't use cross object formula, right? Then how can
Yeah.
I what can
So
use
here what you can do, you can use only for relational fields only. Like a relational cross object formula is applicable only to the relational, not for other objects. So here
is
opportunity underscore, there is no relation. Only parent data you can display in child object. If you would like to use opportunity information in our school object, then what you need to create a relationship. So if you don't want to create a relationship but still do you want to implement the logic, then what you need to go with some other approaches, not with this cross object formula.
okay.
Okay.
Shrikant, how
Yeah.
many maximum cross object formula fields we can create?
Yeah, we have in the same limit. Like we have like what is that? Fields is a total 500, right? Within the 500, you can create a number, no issue. Like within the 500, we have a limit. So we have what is that? 40 is the relation fields, and then 460 is fields. Within the fields, you can create any number. We don't have any limitation for that.
Okay.
Okay, but the thing is, like if you create more fields, then automatically it will reduce the relation fields count.
Okay.
Any other questions? So just to like try to understand this bypass validation functionality. So as I mentioned, like it's really important. Okay, so majority of the interviews you will get like these questions: how to bypass validation rules for this specific user or specific profile. Okay, at the time you can use this approach so that they can satisfy. Okay, so now as per the today's class, you have two assignments. One is ultimate parent. The second one is like a validation rule with individual conditions for the product when you are trying to enter the discount percentage. So if it is a limit reaches, you should throw an error message. The message should not generic. The message should be like understandable. So the salesperson should be able to get proper error message. Okay, so try to understand these concepts and then try to implement a bypass functionality as well. So again, I'm repeating bypass functionality, implement in your end. Okay.